as I've been long. The Black Lotus clan sends their regards.
Is this a challenge? It's promise!
Your reputation precedes you.
Ha ha! Perhaps, but you're still just a pussy.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this, our continued coverage of all this past weekend's action on the undercard of this weekend's past MVP show. Up-and-comer, Stephanie Alegria was able to outdog and outfight the reigning two-time unified light flyweight champion Adrien Bermudez of Argentina by beating her at her own game. Right away, in the opening stanza, you saw Stephanie Alegria dart out of her corner like a bat out of hell, taking it to the defending champion, who normally favors fighting on the inside. That has been Adrien Bermudez's calling card for as long as I can remember. That's what she is. A mid-range to inside pressure fighter that crumbled under the pressure of Stephanie Alegria. The reason for it, there seemed to be a noticeable disparity in hand speed. Stephanie looked a lot faster than Adrien Bermudez. Her punches were shorter and reaching the target in better time, able to string together combinations, body shots.
That's the story of the fight.
Stephanie was able to show a better variety of punches consistently from the opening round to the final round, hurting the defending champion, whose deficiencies finally backfired in this fight. For those not familiar with Adrien Bermudez, she's a headhunter. She always has been. Adrien, for as accomplished as she was, never showed the best variety of punches. Noticeably taller and longer. Whereas Stephanie was the shorter, stumpier, stockier fighter, consistently quicker to the draw, beating Adrien to the punch and beating her from the inside out, beating her at what was her own game. Being honest with you, I didn't see a round I could give Adrien Bermudez, which is saying a lot because she was the favorite going in, and I picked her to win. I didn't think the titles were going to change hands. But they did, and if they did, it's because Stephanie Alegria was able to beat Adrien Bermudez at her own game. She was able to outpressure the pressure fighter, and so now she is in possession of 3 of the 4 major titles in the light flyweight division, just one away from becoming undisputed champion. Adrien Bermudez's MVP debut did not go according to plan, and now it says Stephanie in line to become this division's inaugural undisputed champion, because there's never been one before. There's never been one woman holding all the belts in the light flyweight division, but now that is a distinct possibility, and all Stephanie has to do is go through Lourdes Juarez. Very recently made her MVP debut, coming off a string of impressive wins over Jessica Niri Plata and more recently Yokasta Valle. These are the only 2 reigning champions at this weight. It's down to them. Will the strategy that worked for Stephanie against Adrien Bermudez also work against Lourdes, who's the opposite of Adrien Bermudez? Where Adrien likes to come forward and throw punches and bunches, Lourdes likes to move away, get on her toes, use the jab, use the ring,
Use the counters.
and believe it or not, Stephanie Alegria has the right base style for the job. That is how Lourdes Juarez was beaten before, north of light flyweight at super flyweight by Ashley Gonzalez 2 times. Ashley was able to beat Lourdes Juarez for the WBC title by coming forward, throwing punches and bunches, and applying pressure. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, isn't that what Yokasta Valle just tried to do?
It is.
And it didn't work for Yokasta, so why is it supposed to work for Stephanie Alegria? Put simply, I think Stephanie is a younger, fresher fighter with faster feet and faster hands. I think that her combinations, her punches are noticeably shorter and tighter than what you get from Yokasta Valle, who's a very experienced fighter, but I've always thought she punches kind of wide. Combinations sometimes get a bit disorganized, whereas what I saw from Stephanie yesterday, the straight punches down the middle, the body shots, the hooks, the uppercuts, all of it is noticeably tight and compact, making it more difficult to defend against. Put simply, I think that Stephanie is a younger, fresher, pressure fighter than Yokasta Valle, who's able to apply pressure more efficiently than Yokasta, and I like her in the Lourdes Juarez fight.
That's the fight to make now.
An all-Mexican shootout between Mexican champions. Will Lourdes Juarez be able to shake and bake a Stephanie Alegria the same way she did Yo Costa Valle? Or will Stephanie's pressure,
Her power, her persistence.
her come-forwardness be too much for what is the aging champion? Because you wouldn't know it to look at her in action, but Lourdes is already in her 40s.
Those 40-year-old legs.
She's getting on in age. It's only a matter of time before Father Time starts to catch up, because he always does. On the surface, I am already leaning towards a Stephanie Alegria to win the fight, and I expect MVP to sign her to a promotional deal. I expect that because she beat the MVP fighter this weekend, MVP now has options on her, and they're going to move to do the undisputed title fight for either the fall or winter months. Congratulations to her! Over to the next set of updates for what is the Ring IQ men's pound-for-pound list, where Bam Rodriguez is now moving up 2 spots ahead of Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney for becoming a 3-weight world champion, knocking out then champion Antonio Vargas in sensational fashion. Might be thinking to yourself, how does he get to move ahead of Shakur Stevenson, who's been a champion at 4 weights, where Bam is just now becoming a champion in 3, and how is he moving past Devin Haney, who's already a 3-weight world champion, and he's been undisputed?
Let's get into it.
Maybe those 2 guys have got Bam beat in those departments, maybe, but Bam still has a better resume than both when you consider that he's already beaten 3 of the 4 kings in the super flyweight division, 2 of which he knocked out. Sorun Visai, Gallo Estrada.
Gallo Estrada is a better name on Bam's resume than any name on Shakur Stevenson's resume, than any name on Devin Haney's resume.
The best name on Devin's resume is George Kambosos. The best name on Shakur's is Teofimo Lopez. Gallo is a better name than both. But if that's not enough, consider the string of unbeaten champions that Bam has also beaten. Unbeaten Sonny Edwards, unbeaten Fumalele Kafu, unbeaten Fernando Martinez.
This guy's beaten unbeaten champions in style, and he's already beaten more reigning champions, 4 more belts, than Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. Shakur and Devin have beaten 3 reigning world champions apiece. 3.
Whereas Bam Rodriguez has got him beat. He's beaten about 5. Gallo Estrada, Sonny Edwards, Fumalele Kafu, Fernando Martinez, and yesterday, Antonio Vargas.
For what was the WBA title?
I specified in the previous update to the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list that Bam was really only 1 win away from surpassing both Shakur and Devin, which he did yesterday. He beat another reigning champion.
Points for style.
Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney jointly can pat themselves on the back for fighting these safety-first fights where they win these ho-hum decisions, and you can root them on too if you're into that. Whereas Bam wins in more sensational fashion than they do. He doesn't just win, he stops a guy.
He knocks him out!
Only in the previous era of boxing, the Mayweather era, did people start acting like there's something wrong with having punching power, or like there's something wrong with taking it to a guy and knocking him out. Mostly because Mayweather didn't do that. Mayweather didn't knock people out.
Not in his welterweight campaign, not towards the end of his career.
So you started to see people act like there's something wrong with being aggressive or having punching power, like there's something wrong with being a knockout merchant, because Floyd Mayweather was not those things.
Yeah.
The time for American sissy fighting, homo fighting, is over. We're not going to keep praising these guys for not having punching power or not having inside game, not knocking people out. That's what draws people away from combat sports.
You'd think guys in their mid-30s and mid-40s are up at 11:30, 12 to watch a guy go to a decision. They're hoping to see a knockout, but they're not going to get that from Bevin.
Fucking homo.
Or Shakur Stevenson, who I think is a very skilled fighter, very skilled, but he hits like a girl.
Fucking homo.
It's not a knock on him. I still rank the both of those pillow-fisted fighters in the top 5. So I'm not glossing over their accomplishments, I'm just saying, Bam is just as, if not more accomplished than they are, and more entertaining to watch.
Fucking homo. Yeah, Devin's been undisputed where Bam hasn't, but who did Devin even have to go through to become undisputed? He only had to fight one guy, George Kambosos.
What the fuck?
When I cross-compare the resumes and the line of champions that both Bam and Devin have faced, I would argue that Bam has faced the better fighters the better champions than Bevin.
Then Shakur.
And so Bam Rodriguez ascends to the number 3 spot, just behind Oleksandr Usyk and Naoya Inoue, who he may end up facing in the coming calendar year. But that's not the only update to the list. At number 10, unified mini flyweight champion Oscar Manuel Collazo, born January 15th, 1997.
So he's a Capricorn, like Oleksandr Usyk, like Muhammad Ali, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., Josh Taylor.
The list goes on. Even if you're not into horoscopes or any of that zodiac crap, it seems to be a consistent pattern among Capricorns to be very skilled boxers, and Oscar Collazo is just such a Capricorn, a Puerto Rican professional boxer and unified mini flyweight champion who has held the WBO title since May of 2023 and the WBA super version since November of 2024. He is also the first mini flyweight to ever become the Ring Magazine champion in that division's history. He now occupies the number 10 spot.
Set to return to action next weekend in the main event of a Golden Boy Promotions show, in case you haven't seen him in action.
Previously ranked at number 10 was 2-division champion Erislandy Lara, on the premise of his longevity, that if nothing else, Lara is a fighter who's been around for a very long time, and to still be a world champion at his age, he must be one of the best fighters in the world, even if he doesn't have the strongest resume, though he was really there as a placeholder.
He never had the best argument, which is why he was in the number 10 spot, in the most danger of being bumped off, and so he's bumped off, and Oscar Collazo emerges at number 10!
You know how this works. The more alphabet titles that Oscar Collazo picks up, the more divisions he climbs, the more times he becomes a champion at different weights, the higher on the list he goes up.
Congratulations to him!
More somber news. It would seem that Adrien Broner faces abuse accusation as a woman seeks an attorney.
Given how he's been behaving on those live streams with Dean the Great, it was only a matter of time.
A woman has publicly appealed for an attorney after accusing Adrien Broner of abuse, claiming she possesses evidence and intends to pursue legal action despite allegedly being bound by a non-disclosure agreement. The allegation surfaced during a live stream in which the woman repeatedly stated she needed legal representation and insisted that NDAs do not protect against criminal conduct. "I got abused," she said. "I need a lawyer." She later added, "I'm going to sue them for domestic violence." The woman also claimed she had evidence to support her allegations. "I have hella evidence. Let's go to court. If they send me to court for speaking on an NDA, I will pull up printed evidence. I'm going to print everything out." Much of the discussion is centered on whether an NDA could prevent her from speaking publicly. The woman rejected that suggestion. "NDAs don't save you from crimes," she stated. She also alleged she suffered physical injuries. "I have bruises all over my body."
But can she prove that those bruises came from Adrien Broner? Something that he did? Does she have any video evidence? CCTV? Because if she doesn't, it's her word against his.
During the live stream, both Adrien Broner and influencer boxer Dean the Great were mentioned as the woman continued discussing her claims and repeated her intention to seek legal action. At the time of writing, no lawsuit connected to the allegations had been confirmed, and no response from Broner or Dean the Great was visible in the material reviewed by World Boxing News.
Nothing would surprise me here. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a frivolous lawsuit this woman plans on filing.
Wouldn't surprise me if this woman is turning a mountain out of a molehill so she can victimize Adrien Broner for a shakedown. The position that he leaves himself in as a public figure is a vulnerable one because on camera, he's clearly a sex pest.
He's clearly under the influence most times that you see him making passes at very young women
that it may not seem outside of the realm of possibility to a judge that he may have done something to this girl, though, as stated, it's something that she has to prove, because the burden of proof is on the accuser, and she's the one making the accusation.
Nothing would surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if she were telling the truth the same way it wouldn't surprise me if this is just a shakedown.
The allegation arrives at a time when Broner is already under increased scrutiny through his constant live stream appearances. As World Boxing News recently reported, concern has been growing over the former champion's behavior as cameras continue continue documenting much of his daily life. What began as a venture Broner believes can make him a millionaire again is increasingly generating attention for reasons beyond entertainment. The former champion has spent months broadcasting much of his life online, with viewers dissecting everything from his interactions to his conduct away from boxing. Broner has already apologized publicly to one woman following an incident on stream, while multiple clips from broadcasts have shown him pursuing female attention or attempting to persuade women to spend time with him. In one widely shared clip, Broner was seen in bed with a woman as rapper Tekashi69 walked into the room while mobile phones continued rolling on kick. None of those incidents are connected to the latest accusation. However, Broner is now living much of his life in public view, with cameras documenting events around the clock and clips spreading rapidly across social media platforms. If the woman's claims develop into legal action, it would represent another unwanted distraction for Broner as he attempts to rebuild both his finances and his reputation through the streaming venture.
Streaming culture seems to promote little more than degeneracy,
Substance abuse, alcohol abuse,
promiscuity, hookup culture.
degenerate culture. That's what mostly seems to get Adrien Broner attention in spite of his age, because he's not a young guy like Dean the Great or most of the young guys in this streaming thing. I mean, this is a guy in his mid-30s.
Got razor bumps all over his face and a dad bod.
Noticeable alcohol problem that always seems to come up on these live streams, which were being treated as Broner's resurgence, the return of Adrien Broner.
Not as a boxer, but as a public figure. Not as a pugilist, but back to the spotlight, back to relevance, through some unconventional means.
All I've seen of Adrien Broner in these streams is the proverbial train wreck that nobody wants to look away from, because the man is a mess. Seeing the condition that he's in, often disheveled, often inebriated, often with a drink in hand.
You could have almost thought about it as a second chance for Adrien Broner to get back on his feet outside of the boxing ring, because as a boxer, he's not what he once was.
And there's very little chance of Adrien Broner returning to his old form. Having already burned through so much of the money that he made as a boxer, the streaming thing does present a chance for Broner to get back on his feet, albeit by being a jester.
A sex pest, an alcoholic for everybody to see. They can't look away.
So when the name of the game is getting as many people to watch you as possible, to make as much money as possible, for somebody like Broner, without a filter,
Without any boundaries.
without any sobriety, the sky's the limit. He can go pretty far, albeit for a short while, because this is not a long-term solution for Adrien Broner. This guy's gonna die of cirrhosis of the liver if he don't get his alcoholism in check, and his behavior. Whatever money he's been making, he might now have to spend either paying this girl to keep quiet or paying the lawyers to defend him.
He can't stay out of trouble.
Not long enough to really regain any kind of stability and get back on his feet. He can't stay out of trouble long enough to get his life together. And all this streaming culture does
Celebrates the worst aspects about him. What it seems to celebrate and promote is his degeneracy. Except he's not some young teen or tween. This is a man in his mid-30s with 8 kids.
he's a train wreck.